Look, it's another one of those type of tools. You know the ones. I think we might take a look at the inside of this one before I even switch it on or put a battery on it or anything, just to be on the safe side. But if you want one, down in the description you will find a link. So check it out down there if you're interested in one of those. Now this was sent to me by Banggood. That's why you may have seen a little message on the screen somewhere. If you think that that means I'm going to go easy on this tool and give it a good review no matter what, then welcome. You must be new here. This is not a shill channel, so yeah. If I think this is a piece of shite, I am going to tell you. Anyway, on with the show. First we'll have a look at the inside of this one, and then we will compare it to the genuine Makita one. First up on the outside here, aluminium is pitted quite badly. Be a little hard to see there. See all that pitting? Looks like someone's used an angle grinder like in the factory next to this, and it's just sprayed it and pitted it. It's high-end production values there. Look at this. Huh? Nice sharp edge there. Oof. I'm kind of intrigued at why they painted the aluminium there and there. It must look really rough underneath that. Is this plastic underneath like the Makita? It doesn't look like there is plastic under it. Oh, look at that, just pops straight out. It's amazing how brushless technology has taken over in the last year or two, and just like everything is now, even all the cheap stuff. When it first came out, brushless stuff was really expensive and only the high-end brands had it. Now just everything you buy, every cheap crappy tool still has brushless technology. First, most interesting thing is this is way more aluminium than the Makita one is. This is quite solid. Basically the Makita one is just a thin skin of aluminium that goes over a complete plastic body. Not long enough. Are you kidding me? Oh, there's a long one too. Not off to a great start here. And my guts is crook. Sure you wanted to know that. Gotta do it manually with a screwdriver, like a common troll. The horror. The deprivation. We're nearly in. I think it's only got the 4 screws. Okay, so which side's going to pop off here? Always the opposite side. So they're usually pretty basic, these sort of tools, so they're easy to work on if you need to repair them. They don't have much in the way of potted boards or anything, but this one looks like it does. We just have red and black, positive and neutral on the battery terminal there. Fairly simple. But on this one we're going into a control board. Be to control the speed of this thing. Not that there's a variable speed on it. Oh, and look at that. We've actually, this board's doing duty for something else. We've got a button on here. I wonder what happens when I push that, if it's running or anything. And we also have some LEDs. But they're clearly not being used on this tool. That wasn't my bladder letting go, that was an app on my phone. Now we have red, black and white going up to the brushless motor, and that's it. So pretty basic. It's pretty, it all feels pretty solid. It's certainly, they haven't skimped on the plastic. It's pretty hard, feels like nylon. Looks like it's got plenty of glass in it. You can see lots of white patches. Hasn't, it's not as nice as a good tool, obviously. Not swished around in the mold quite the same. Swished around in the mold's probably not the correct terminology there. Actually doesn't look too bad. And this is really quite hefty, this bit of aluminium. Looks like it's been painted before it's been machined. They've painted it, it's been dipped in paint, and then they've machined this surface and then sprayed it with angle grinder sparks, because it's painted on the inside as well, and you can see it's been machined there, so they can see what they're doing basically, see where they've done the job. It's even got a part number on it, which is pretty rare for these sort of things. But this sharp nasty bit there, that's pretty rough. There's some sharp bits in there too. Oh geez, there's a bit like hanging there that's going to fall into the fan at some point. The fan, ooh, she's a hefty fan. Well, it looks to be, it's a little bit hard to tell, and I can't actually get that out. I gave it a whack, but I don't want to end up buggering that end of it before we even start and use the damn thing and test it out. but it looks like, I mean, there's quite a big bearing up in that end. It's well over 1 mil thick metal, so it's pretty good. I think we'll put it back together and hope it still works. Kind of intrigued on what that button's going to do, if it's connected to anything or not. So you only need to take this aluminium part off if you want to get to the actual motor. Everything else you can access with this on. Just take the bottom section apart. Which is a bit different, if I do recall, from the Makita. I have taken the Makita apart before, don't think I'll do it today. How about we just go like this. Apart from this fan, which is designed by the looks, scooping up the air and firing out the front to blow your work area clean and to try and keep dust out of the unit. But there is a fair bit of dust in there, not too bad. The collet, unfortunately, is one of these ones with just a single split in it, which are far from ideal, not very deep, and yeah, they don't clamp all that well. Don't give an even clamp force. Certainly a lot less wires and shit to worry about than when you pull apart a Makita tool. Looks like we've got a manufacture date on here too. This was hot off the press, this, when I got it. One of the first people to get it, I think. Maybe. Who knows. So we've got 8th of the 9th, 2020. Or that might just be a coincidence. Are you shitting me? Is this... What's holding that onto there? Just that? No, not even that. Where... This bit here does not screw onto this bit. There's no screw fasteners that go through into that. All that's holding it on is this piece of plastic here, with that bit of plastic there going through it, and then a tiny little bit that catches in this area here on each side, but no actual fasteners into the plastic on this bit. It's interesting. Well, that actually popped back together fairly easy. Now this is lacking a few of the features that you might get on a high-end brand such as a Makita or a Milwaukee or a DeWalt, but it might just be an okay little router for something. Safety wise, not a lot going on. It's just got that one switch there, unlike the Makita, which has the double button system, so it's much harder for you to accidentally knock it on. And the Milwaukee has a rocker switch like this, but instead of it being out in the open like this, it's sort of recessed back, has a dust cover over it. It's a little less likely to get whacked, whereas this one, that's in a very easy position to bump. Safety's not your concern though, then hey, maybe this is the tool for you. Look, as I'm tightening that up, this is popping out. Okay, as it gets tighter and tighter, can you see that? It's popping out. That's how you know it's a quality product. Price wise, this is around, in my local currency, works out to about half the price of the original. Let's compare, or let me show you all the things that are missing from this tool. The tool on the right is the one that the one on the left is copied from. Sorry, loosely modelled on. The Makita has a far thicker shaft, as you can see, than this one. The Makita also has a button lock for releasing the bits from your collet. This one doesn't. You got to use 2 spanners all the time. You can use 2 spanners on this one too if you wish, or you can do it with the help of that button. This one has graduated marks on it in inches and millimeters. This one has this one has points to locate it inside a plunge base. This one, this one has a 2-button system for starting it up. You first unlock it, you then push the power button. That way you can't accidentally knock it and bump it and turn it on and stuff. This one, there we go. Woohoo! This one has 2 LED lights. Bum bum. The Makita has a rack and pinion style base here, which allows you to adjust the depth of your cut. You then lock it in place. The base also has an area where you can put inside a template guide. This base is made of aluminium with a TPE overmolding. Comes with a dust chute cover thing here and a removable base. This one, yeah, she's pretty basic. She just slots over and you do her up. So it doesn't matter, it'll go any angle you want. There's no locating pins or anything, but it is super tight. Trying to get it down to the actual point where you need it. So trying to adjust this in a fine manner. Good friggin' luck with that. It's yeah, pretty stiff, so gonna be great for accurate depth changes. Friggin' hell. This base looks like you can open it up and put one of these style template guides in. The Makita one will take proper template guides like this one inside the plunge base here. While we've got the plunge base, let's just have a look. See if... Are we going to get lucky? It would. But there's one little thing holding it back. Uh-oh. Maybe it wouldn't. But the locator pin for the Makita one, that little pin in there, which makes this go in the right place for you, that is stopping this cheap shitty knockoff, this replica tool from going inside the plunge base. This won't fit inside the Makita base either because of the rack and pinion here and the locator pin. Speeds! The Makita is rated at 30,000 RPM. It also does 10,000. What does that mean? Oh, it's variable. So it goes from 10 and up to 30 in 5,000 increments on those numbers there. This one, we've done it again. They forgot to put it on. Damn. Okay, let's try it out. We'll first try it with this roundover bit and we'll do it on some VIDS. That should be fairly easy for the tool. Alright, she's in. The moment of truth. I have the face shield on. Well, it works. Wow. It runs. Let's see if it works. Freshly charged 5 amp hour battery. That was pretty good. Let's try something with a bit more mass now. This is 25 millimeters in diameter, this bit, and we are cutting to a depth of 15 millimeters. I'll chuck it through some pine and we'll see if we can stall it. Well, one of the screws has just vibrated out of the base. This, you can't actually lock it tight enough. I'll get a washer and put on that. Bit scary. Now that was a pretty mean test. Pretty mean. How well do you think the Makita will do doing that? It's a snug fit. I'm having a bit of trouble with the supplied wrench. You've got to do this thing up so tight because the collet is so crappy. You have to get it really tight so that it doesn't slip. But then trying to get it undone with one of these, man, it's pain on the hand, that's for sure. And as you can see, buggered the wrench and I still haven't got it undone. So you're going to need some real spanners to get this undone if you don't want to destroy your hands. Can't find a spanner thin enough to even get in there, so I'll use this Milwaukee one that came with a Milwaukee router. Stick that on there. But it's way too short as well to get any bloody whack out of, so we'll do it like this. Bit of a pain if you have to do this every time. think we got it that time. This is about 50% thicker than the one that came with this. I now have Makita set up the same way, same depth and everything. Let's see if it can do any better. I wanted to use one of these router bits with a 6mm shaft, but they are way too loose in this collet, unlike the Milwaukee one where I could put 6mm and 6.35. This is only for 6.35 or 1/4 inch. 6mm will never work. Not without doing something dodgy like putting a shim in there, which I'm not going to do. And unfortunately the collets from the Makita and the Milwaukee are not compatible with this knockoff. Well, Milwaukee won that battle. I'm going to go the Makita again. Wrong speed before. Milwaukee was still the best. Look at this, it does have a safety feature of sorts. See that? Turned on. What happens when we put a battery on it? Is it gonna start up? Man, it's tight, baby. Look at that, that's just ridiculous. Ugh, got it. She's on, but it's not running. Gotta switch it off, turn her on again. Who says there's no safety features? It doesn't take the bits as deep. Quite a bit left there. Doesn't go down very deep compared to the Makita and the Milwaukee. Go in a good 1/4 inch more. That created a bit of chatter, I feel, with this one. It's just not quite as smooth as these two. Okay, so what do I think of this Makita adapted battery tool thing? It's the one on the right, and we'll start with the positives. The motor is much better than I thought it would be. It actually has pretty good torque. It's actually harder to stall this than it is to stall this, although this has protection built into it to look after the tool so you don't stuff it, whereas this, by the time it's cutting out, you might be putting too much pressure on this thing, and it might not like that for too long. May also not be too good for your battery. Essentially, not a huge amount of difference in power between these two, but listen to this. Turns out this is slightly variable speed after all. It just changes when it feels like it. The Milwaukee did a lot better in the Pine, as you will have seen. Then I fiddled around with the speeds on the Makita. Realised this one wasn't on full speed, and I just fiddled around and got the Makita pretty close, but the Milwaukee definitely powered through the Pine better. although through hardwood it's not as noticeable, the difference. In fact, sometimes the Makita seems better. They do different tasks better depending on what they are. Different size bits, different sorts of timber. This has much more in the way of vibrations than these two. This one to me still personally feels the smoothest. This one, with those bits sticking out a bit more, you get a bit more chatter. So basically I wouldn't want to be using this for any fine stuff. The sort of thing I would use this tool for is to have a round over bit, have it set to the same depth all the time, and just leave it in there forever pretty much. You basically want to leave the battery on there forever too, because as you will have seen, it is a bastard to get on and off. It's like that damn chainsaw, it's just too tight. Way too tight. I should loosen those screws off again. See if that makes any difference. One moment. Oh, come on. How could it have gotten tighter? Look at that, it just doesn't want to move at all. You kidding me? That was good for the battery. So as you can see, this one not as good on your batteries as the other two. So that's the positive if you didn't see it in there somewhere. Positive was, power wise, actually pretty good. I didn't think it was going to have a hope. I thought it would just cut out all the time, would never have the power of the other two. But it's not too bad in that respect. But this is way too dangerous. The battery, as you just saw, pain in the ass. Comfort wise, this thing, horrible to hold. No matter how loose you have this knob, it's still really annoying to get on and off. But you can set it on any angle you want so that you can get a straight edge on if you like that sort of thing. I used to like the straight edges, but now I've gotten used to the round ones, and the round ones I find much better now because you can turn it to any direction you want as you're routing up against an edge, and that way you can fire the chips and dust and stuff away from you or get the most comfort on your hand grip. This twists and flexes, and these screws vibrate out. I've done them up twice. That one there looks like it's starting to go again. Done them as tight as I can do them without it smashing the plastic. And yeah, this feels very dodgy. Imagine if you left that sitting in the sun for the day, it might be stuffed. No measurements. All the stuff I talked about at the beginning really, it just doesn't have any finesse whatsoever. It would perhaps be okay in a table. You had it in a table where you're less likely to bump this, where you just turn it on, do your work, and then turn it back off again. That's probably the best use of this. But if you want one, down in the description you will find a link. So check it out down there if you're interested in one of those. But let me know what you think down below if you've got one of these. What do you reckon about them? Be interesting to hear some other people's opinions about some of these dodgy oddball tools. Have a look up in the corner or wherever down in the description. I'll put it somewhere. The reviews for the Milwaukee and the reviews for the Makita. And now I have 3 1/4-inch routers. It's quite handy. Soon I won't have to change bits. How many more will I need?